Peace. What's going on, y'all? Give everybody a chance to tune on in before I start building on today's topic. Hopefully, y'all having a wonderful Wednesday thus far. Early morning flow. We gonna knock this build out of the way, man. I got some things I want to vent about in regards to religion, specifically Christianity. So I'm gonna give y'all a chance to tap in and tune in with your boy, man, before we dive into this topic, before we dive into Christianity in relation to black folks, and how I really can't understand how you can consider yourself a Christian as a black person in America. Eli, peace, what's going on with you? My brother. Yeah, we building on that relationship, man. It's 2020. You should not be considering yourself a Christian. You shouldn't be considering yourself any type of Western religion as a black man, but we really shouldn't be calling ourselves Christian. We really shouldn't be doing that. Addresses for the future. What's going on with you? As black people, we need to eliminate that association. We need to eliminate that association for a multitude of reasons. Queen J, peace, what's going on? That association needs to die. That association needs to cease. No black man, no black woman, no black child in America should be labeling themselves as a Christian. Tavon, peace, what's going on? Lindell, peace, what's going on with you? Eli, most definitely. But then when we get to the deeper science of everything, all right, y'all know how I feel about religion, but let's say hypothetically speaking, the figure that's worshipped the most in Christianity is who? Christ himself, Jesus himself. He wouldn't even approve of a religion. He wouldn't even approve of the church. He let you know not to create a religion under his name, under his life, based around his ways and actions. That's not something that he told people to do. Again, hypothetically speaking, if he did exist, that's not something that he encouraged people to do. He didn't say create a religion revolving around me. The same with Buddhism. The same with Buddhism. The Buddhists, they worship the Buddha, the Buddha that we all know, because Buddha basically just means enlightened one. But the Buddha that's worshipped the most, he didn't tell them to go create a religion in his name. He didn't say go create a religion revolving around my lifestyle. He didn't say create that religion revolving around my life. He didn't say honor me and place me above everybody else. He didn't say create a temple in my name. These religious figures didn't tell people to do this. They didn't even approve of this. So why would you label yourself that? When the person that you are worshiping wouldn't even approve of what you are doing. And that's just that. We're not going to get into some of the things that we practice that they definitely did not condone and wouldn't approve of, like the celebration of holidays. If you profess to be any type of Christian and believe in any type of Bible, you know that you're not supposed to be celebrating any so-called holiday, especially Christmas. They let you know that the Christmas tree is condemned. That's right in the Bible. That's right in the Bible. So they letting you know that you're not supposed to be celebrating these holidays to begin with. So a lot of people just walk in contradictions in regards to the religions in the first place. NFL Malik, peace, what's going on? CJ, peace, what's going on? Bradley, peace, what's going on with you? Nero, no problem. Sasha, what's going on? Dress it for the future. They fall for it every time. Fall for the okie doke every time. Every time. Like I said, people already know how I semi-view religion in the first place. And a lot of times, which I can get this statement, I can understand the statement. You know, they say religion is not bad. It's the people within the religion that make it bad. But I'm like, if you didn't have the religion, you wouldn't have the opportunity for the people to make it bad. Yeah, address it for the future. Nobody is rational. It's killing the creativity. It's killing the rational thought. It's killing the logical thought. And then it forbids you from actually seeking out knowledge. I can't tell you how many times I've been looked at strange by religious folks because I'm seeking outside knowledge, because that's actually condemned. That's condemned in there when you study it deep enough, especially when you start studying things outside of the Bible, outside of the Quran, out whatever holy text you study. When you start studying things outside of that, you start to get condemned. Like, nah, man, this stuff exists outside of this that needs to be studied, that needs to be examined, that needs to be analyzed. That shouldn't be condemned. But I can't tell you the side eyes that I got simply because I'm studying something that's outside of the realm of that holy book or that religion. Like, nothing is evil about someone studying science. Nothing is evil about someone studying biology. Nothing is evil about someone studying another religion or another way of life, metaphysics, another philosophy. Nothing is evil about someone choosing to study something other than the popular religion. And for the most part, what people don't understand, we only subscribe to Christianity, to Baptist, Lutheran, Catholic, whatever you call yourself. It's more so your environment. We are products of our environment. It's upbringing. Your mother, she was a Christian, or she was a Baptist, she was a Lutheran, she was a Protestant, she was a Catholic. So you have a 90% chance of you professing that same exact label. So if we was born in the Middle East, the Middle East, I'm gonna put that in quotations like that. If we was born over there, then we'd have a whole different outlook. We have a whole different outlook, and people don't understand that. So the moment you start professing your religion as truth, if you was born anywhere else outside of the Western Hemisphere, you would look at things differently. You will have a whole different culture. You will have a whole different way of viewing the universe and the world. You will have a whole different holy text that you subscribe to. Real Remedy, that's crazy, because the people with the Bible did more murdering back in the day than the people without the Bible. Like I said, I went to a private school. Y'all are the mascot was a crusader. We know what the Crusaders were. We know what the Crusaders did. We know about the wars between the Christians and the Catholics. So the people with the Bible did a ton of murdering. They did the most murdering back in the day, especially if you didn't believe what they believe, you were heathen and you had to go. Then don't get us started on the Inquisition. When they murdered a lot of women, accused them of being witches. So let's get into that. So you was murdered under the guise of religion. Like, oh, you a witch. So how many women were burned? How many women were murdered, accused of being witches? And these are the people that are doing this killing, that are ordering the killing. These are the people with the Bible. So that's what I have to say to that statement. Beautiful Goddess Keys, peace, what's going on? So yeah, if somebody's saying if they ain't had a Bible, they murdering everyone, that's crazy, because the people with the Bible, like I said, have done a lot of murdering, historically speaking. And like I said, my private school, Crusader, we know what that is in regards to the association with religion and murder. So it's been a lot of killing, slaughtering, even enslavement done by the people who hold near and dear to this Bible. So nope. Zucko, peace, what's going on? Terenzo, what's going on with you? Taidan, what's going on? Yep, Sasha, that's what I was talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Thou shalt not kill, but how many people have been killed because of religion? We can't even, man, that number is ridiculous. Oh, D-Monty Magic, most definitely, most definitely. But they want us to turn that other cheek. They want us to turn that other cheek. They want us to do that. They want us to turn that other cheek. They want us to do that though. But they not willing to do it. They not willing to do it. They gonna teach that to us though. They gonna conceal the truth. They gonna keep the truth to themselves and for their people. So it's justifiable when they do it. It's justifiable when they do it. And then we can even get into this type of spiel, right? We can get into this spiel. So basically, it's all good. It's all good when we murder, when we do things under the guise of like Christianity, Catholicism, whatever the Western religion is. But then when the Muslim people do something, oh, look what we call them. Look what we call that. When the Muslim people come over here, when they do something, look how we view them. When they do something in the name of their religion, we call them terrorists. When we do something in the name of our religion over here, we call it patriotism. So look at that contradiction. When another culture does something and they say the reason why they doing it is because of their religion, it's called terrorism. We call them terrorists. We go over there, do the same thing, and we use our religion and it's patriotism. We patriotic. That's crazy. That's crazy. But let somebody else from another culture come and do something in the name of their religion. Nope, that's a terrorist. So that's how they create that divide. Orlando, peace, what's going on? Zucco, yeah, I've heard of that. I heard of that joint, but I haven't read it, but I heard of it. I heard of it. Like I said, when I was at my high school, man, I learned a lot about I learned a lot about the wickedness of religion. That's crazy because I was at a private school. I was at a private school, but I learned a lot about the wickedness of religion at that private school. It was a Lutheran school, like I said, the Crusaders, and I learned a lot about the wickedness of religion simply by going to that private school, having to take Old Testament and New Testament courses. I learned about the wickedness. Oh, Sasha. No, nobody is exempt. Nobody is exempt, especially like I said, when you don't believe in their religion. It's time for you to go. It's time for you to roll. You must die. And don't get me started. Don't get me started on the disrespect that the women receive in a lot of these holy books, in a lot of the holy texts. Women get viewed in a negative light in a lot of holy texts, and it's not just necessarily like Christianity and things of that nature. Like I said, y'all talk about Holy Trinity. I go back to my ancestors with the Holy Trinity. The only Holy Trinity that I know is man, woman, and child. I don't know anything about a Father, Son, Holy Spirit. I know man, woman, and child. That's the only Holy Trinity that I subscribe to. And this ain't even on the Western side. Y'all already know. I've dealt with a lot of Arabs over here. When I worked at a bank, I had to deal with a lot of Arabs. So we already know how they treat their women. We're not even gonna go there. We already know how they treat their women. But this is even outside, like when you go to Buddhism, when you go to monks, the way they view women as merely a temptation. So it's like, man, a lot of these religions, man, a lot of these holy books, holy texts, they don't view women in a good light at all. At all. Real Remedy RS, I read the entire New Testament. But I've taken courses on the Old Testament, New Testament, and then even the college that I went to, it was a private college. It was a Catholic college. But I read the whole New Testament. I didn't get through the whole Old Testament. I read some of that. Then my uncle, he's also a pastor, so I've been around it. My grandfather, that's all he did was read the Bible, so I know a lot about it. And I got a Quran too, so don't think that I'm just talking about the Bible. I also have a Quran. And I have a lot of stuff on Buddhism, Hinduism. Like I got a lot of things, a lot of material on all walks of life. But to answer your question, I've read the New Testament. I got really involved with the New Testament. I started studying the New Testament. So I haven't gotten around to the entire Old Testament yet. I know bits and pieces of the Old Testament, and I'm going to end up eventually reading it, which a lot of people don't understand that. They ask me if I had this perception that I have on religion, why am I reading, the Bible? Gotta read it. If anything, that strengthens my perspective and my perception. Beautiful Goddess Keys, appreciate the donation. Appreciate it. Terreno, how did I get here? I got here via my mother and my father. So if you ask me that question, see, it's pointless to get into that. It's pointless to get into that type of back and forth, because we can always ask, where did the thing that you said created me, where did that come from? So it's going to be continuous, and that's never ending. So it's no sense to ask me, where did I come from? Because if I tell you I came from my mother and father, you're not going to accept that. You're going to say, where did they come from? Then we're going to continue to trace that down, and then you can trace it to whatever God that you believe in, and then I can simply ask you, who created him? And then you gonna give me an answer that I'm not gonna necessarily be satisfied with. So it's no point of even asking that and going with that back and forth. No sense. Because I can easily ask you, who created what you say created me? But to answer that question, how did I get here? I got here via my mother and my father. I was in the womb of my mother for 9 months, and she gave birth to me. That's how I got to this physical realm. That's how I became this person that y'all see today. Nothing spooky about it. I don't have to make that religious. We all know how to create life. We are creators of life, and we know how to do that. Now we can go on a deeper note and talk about evolution, but we don't need to do that, because you asked me, how did I get here? So I can answer that. I can answer that part. Terreno, at the same time you telling me I don't know, because I really don't profess to know, you also don't know. So I don't necessarily have to prove I don't have to prove. Really, I don't have to prove anything on that, because we already know that I got a mother and I have a father. So I know how I got here. That ain't nothing that I necessarily have to prove. But you would have to prove to me that what you are claiming created me. If you claiming that a God created me, you would have to prove that that exists, more so than me having to prove that a mother and a father created me. So I don't really, that's not my job and duty to prove that, because I'm not of that belief. Oh, real, I've read Psalms, but I don't believe the Old Testament holds my history. Again, I'm finna I go back to my ancestors. I go back to stuff that predates the Bible. I go back to things that predate that. The Old Testament can have its Jews in there, just like the New Testament has its Jews. But as far as holding my entire history, no, sir. Like, we can go study the hieroglyphs. We can go study the hieroglyphs, and we can go study the Ethiopians, the Egyptians. Y'all know, we know them by other names, but I'm gonna just use that. We can go study their history. So our history is in a lot of different places. Yeah, Brandy, that's what I'm saying. So that's why it's no sense to get into that type of argument, because we can always ask, who created who? You say such and such created me, then who created that such and such? That's a continuous loop, never ending loop. So it makes no sense to even get in that back and forth, because we can always ask, who created whatever it is you claim created such and such. So that's a pointless argument. That's a pointless argument. The wife is in the building, y'all. Say peace to the wife. Oh, Tavon, most definitely. And this is another thing too. Like I said, I chopped it up with plenty of. At first, back in the day, I ain't gonna lie, I used to get into it with a lot of Hebrew Israelites, a lot of Israelite brothers. I used to get into it with them. But now over the time, and I built a relationship with a few of them, a good relationship, a solid relationship. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, a lot of stuff that the Israelites talk about, I can rock with in regards to how they view the Bible. I can definitely rock with it. I can definitely rock with a lot of Israelites. I'd rather you deal with religion from an Israelite perspective than a Christian perspective. I'd rather you view that Bible from an Israelite point of view, or an Israelite lens, than a Christian lens, than a Baptist lens. So I can rock with how the Israelites view that Bible, more so than like Christians and Catholics and all of that. Dress it for the future. We already know how that go. We already know how that going. What people got to understand is this is another problem that I have. And this is how they get us with the divide and conquer. This is one thing that we got to understand. We be so focused on what we are, like as if it's one name or one term that can be utilized to define us as a people. Man, we are a lot of different terms, a lot of different names, a lot of different peoples. So it's not just one term, one nationality. It's not just one way to view us. It's not one label that you can place on all of us. So that's my problem. When we start to do that, I have a problem with that. Like when we start to place one label on the entire group of people, have a problem with that, man, because most of the names that we place upon an entire group of people, we predate that. So it's like we got to go beyond that. Yeah, we might be a Moor. We might be an Israelite. We all of that, though. We was all of that at one point. So for me to act like one of them is the actual truth and all the rest of them are a fallacy, incorrect, especially when you start studying the history of all of them. You're going to see us toting all of those labels at some point. And D Monty Magic. And that's my thing. But the reason why sometimes you gotta argue about it is because I know you've heard this. When stuff start happening and they say all we can do or all you can do is pray. You know, I can't tolerate that mentality. Because if you think that that's literally all we can do, come on, man. It's way more that we can do than to just pray. So sometimes that leads to that friction. That leads to that argument because literally you think that the only solution to our problem is to pray. You don't think that there's literally nothing that we can do about it? And that prevents a lot of people that profess some of these faiths to be passive. Because in their mind, all they can do is pray. Like, nah, that's not all you can do. Even your religion is letting you know faith without works is dead. So it's letting you know that you need to get up and do something. It's letting you know that, no, you can do more than pray. So a lot of people, man, they not fully in tune with what they are subscribing to in the first place. But a lot of people, man, something go down. They say it's all we can do is pray. All we can do is pray. So when enough people had that mentality, then now we have a problem. Because in order for change to manifest, like we got to come together collectively. But if half of the people say, well, we can't do nothing but pray about it, then, man, we missing 50% of the people that we need in order to make the change happen. Oh yeah, from Babylon to Timbuktu, that's a classic. That's a classic joint. That's a classic joint. Sean H, like I said, when it comes to Islam, just like with Christianity, it depends on which branch you're talking about. But there are some parts of Islam that I don't necessarily fool with as well. But as y'all know, as a 5%er, they view us as another branch of the Nation of Islam, which is incorrect. Because we definitely don't believe in the things that the Muslims believe, like we don't worship a mystery God and things of that nature. So that would be incorrect. So anybody that says that kind of associates us with Islam, they haven't done their due diligence, their proper due diligence, and they haven't built with us in the physical. But there are certain aspects, Beast by Bless Zone Out, appreciate the donation. But there are certain portions of the Quran that I don't necessarily agree with, just like we got certain portions of the Bible that I don't agree with. But then on the flip side, there are certain aspects of the Quran that I can rock with, and there are certain aspects of the Bible that I can rock with. But what I'm not going to allow anything to do is to discourage me in regards to my eagerness to seek knowledge outside of the realm of those religions. That's when I start to have a problem with the religion. When it brainwashes a person to the point where they believe that any knowledge outside of what they are subscribing to is evil, wicked, and unnecessary. That's when I have a problem, and that tends to be a problem. Open your mind. It's a lot to learn out here. The world doesn't just revolve around your belief system. Like I said, we got to study life around us. We got to study life around us. For one, how can you call another culture wicked if you haven't even studied that culture? If you don't know what that culture believes in, if you don't know how that culture lives, how can you deem them wicked? How can you deem them evil if you haven't studied their way of life? So a lot of times we criticize these other cultures from a place of ignorance because we haven't fully studied their way of life. Ishmael, what's going on? Orlando, like you already know. Like I said, I grew up Baptist, which at the end of the day, it ain't much of a difference between Baptist, Christian, Catholic. It ain't much of a difference. Lutheran, Protestant, not much of a difference there. But I grew up, black people, we like to use the Baptist label as if that makes it any better. But that's pretty much how I grew up, man. And it has a hold on you. And that's why I say we need to remove ourselves from these churches for the most part. And I'm talking to black women on this one, because the black women get pimped the most when it comes to church. When you go into your everyday average black church, you're going to see a ton of black women out there getting pimped out by these pastors. You're going to see these black women out there hooping and hollering, listening to this pastor. It's going to be more black women out there getting brainwashed by this pastor. So black women, y'all definitely need to wake up when it comes to religion and stop listening to these pastors, man. These slick pastors, it's all slick talk. It's slick talk. They want to get you to put money in that collection plate. You enriching them, which I'm fine. Hey, if that's how they need to eat, that's how they need to eat. But they encouraging you to give your last and making you feel guilty when you feel like you can't. When you need that 20, when you need that $30 to keep your lights on, they telling you to put it in that collection plate. And they living in the mansion. And you got 3 or 4 kids, and you in a 2-bedroom apartment, barely able to keep the lights on. So we gotta remove ourselves from some of these money hungry pastors, some of these money hungry preachers, and that's a lot of them. It's not all of them, but it's a lot of them. It's a lot of them. They have similar characteristics to a pimp. So we gotta watch these slick pastors, man. We gotta watch them. We got to watch them. And another thing y'all got to watch out for. Another thing y'all got to watch out for on the flip side, on the non-religious flip side. So y'all got to watch out for these pastors, black women. And y'all also got to watch out for these dudes that's out here telling y'all that y'all got to saying the black woman is God type deal. They also are utilizing that to get to y'all. So y'all got to watch these dudes, man. Dudes slick. So y'all got to watch that. Y'all gotta watch them, man. Dudes slick. Dudes is slick. So when I go into that church and I see a bunch of black women in there, man, just hooping and hollering and listening to this preacher, man, I be upset. Like, come on. Like, we gotta get up out of here. We gotta get up out of here. And I know of personal cases for that to be right and exact, but I'm not gonna get into the personal cases. But I know a lot of cases where where pastors was getting down with the women in the church. And I'm sure y'all know of some cases. Yeah, Sasha, and it's all business. Church is big business. Like at the end of the day, church is big business. If you tired of struggling, one of the ways to end that struggle starts with church. Church is big business. I mean, at the end of the day, that's just really what it is. Church is big business. Church is big business. It's money to be made in the church. It's a lot of money to be made in the church. A lot of money. A lot of money. Live Body D, peace, what's going on? Yeah, beautiful Goddess Keys. We need motivators. We need people to teach. That's why I correct people when they even say preach. I say don't say that, because a lot of preachers, that's deception. So I'm never preaching. I'm never doing that. So that's why I correct people a lot of times when they be like, I preach. Are you preaching? No, I'm not. I'm not doing that. That's deception. That's deceiving. I ain't doing it. Patrick, peace. What's going on? Orlando Peace, man, you be easy. Yeah, Torenzo, and I was about to get into tithes. I was about to get into that. That doesn't necessarily even mean anything monetary. And people don't understand that. Like, you ain't got to give your last. That ain't necessarily what tithes mean. But at the end of the day, that's what they have. That's what they have forced y'all, tricked y'all into believing. Oh, you already know, like I said, it's big business. Yeah, Real Remedy, that's basically what we was alluding to. But I was about to go into tithes not necessarily being anything that's financial or monetary. So I was definitely about to get into that. But again, tell the pastors that. See, the pastor's not going to reveal that truth. The pastor's not going to reveal that truth. They want you to think that it's money. If they told everybody that it was food and crops like it really was and is, then that would change the game. They can't eat off of, no pun intended, but they can't eat off of those food and crops. They need that money. They need that cash money. So they have tricked and deceived people into believing that the only way that you can pay your tithes is by giving this money. 10% of your earnings, your money, your income. They making people people out here giving their last. Giving your last. You're not able to get gas because you putting that last into that collection plate. Now your baby's struggling. Oh, Tavon, I already know. I already know, man. I done been there, done that. And that's another thing, man. Like, as far as when we talk about black sheep, like I've always said, this is one of the hardest aspects to embrace and then still deal with, like, your family, especially as a black man in America. When you denounce religion, when you denounce some of these religions, like the popular religion, when you denounce Christianity, Baptist, Catholicism, when you denounce all of those and you stop subscribing to those, the disconnect with the family can be real. They definitely gonna start looking at you in a negative light, whether it be consciously or subconsciously. So that can be rough. That can be rough, man, when you say, all right, I'm not subscribing to, don't call me no Christian. Don't call me no Baptist. I ain't rocking with this way of life. It's incorrect. I'm not doing it. It wasn't meant for my people type deal. The disconnect that you may have with your family at that particular point is real. It's real. And it can be hurtful. It can be hurtful. Tavis Banks, peace, what's going on? And Nick, I can imagine that. I can imagine that. You always gonna be corrected. What people don't really realize is at the end of the day, we saying the same thing, just using different terms, different words. And that's part of the problem. And it creates that friction. People will like your family members may abandon you for you having a different religious opinion or view than what you were brought up to believe. Self-discipline, most definitely. Yeah, D-Monty Magic, last of the 401k, man. They'll cash out their 401k to give it to the church. To give it to the church. We got churches out here that look like football stadiums. But what they doing for the people? Like I said, we got churches out here that look like football stadiums, but what they doing for the people though? What they doing for the congregation? They just feeding the congregation hope. The whole while they actually manifested. They actually building. They actually taking this money and they utilizing this money, but they selling you hope though. Meanwhile, they got the reality. They living the reality out and they gonna sell you the dream, gonna sell you the hope. Oh, everything gonna be better if you just whoop, wop, wham. Meanwhile, they taking your money and they actually building their reality. They manifesting their physical reality off of your money, but selling you the hope. That's wicked, man. That's wicked. And that's why I don't rock with them. It's wicked. It's wicked. Nowhere in the Bible does it tell people to do that. Nowhere in the Bible does it tell you to go to a church. Nowhere in the Bible does it tell people to have a religion worshiping this figure. It does not tell you that. But they won't tell you that. But you got Gnostic versions, basically the underground versions of these religions, that they'll let you know the truth. They'll let you know that you don't necessarily need to be going to this church or no temple to be worshiping anything. That's the Gnostic version, the underground version of Christianity. It lets you know that. It lets you know what's really within self. It lets you know that. But they're not going to teach that though. They're not going to teach that though. They're not going to teach that version of it. They're not going to teach the underground version of that religion. They're not going to do that. Even when it comes to Islam, like Sufism, it's going to go a lot deeper than the mainstream Orthodox Islam. So when you start studying Sufism, basically again, underground Islam, it's going to tell you more of the truth than the mainstream Islam. So a lot of times people don't even know that the underground version of it exists. Will Anderson, now quote, put the Bible verse on there where it tells you to go to church. Just all we gonna ask to end that, just put the Bible verse. I would just like to see the Bible verse where it tells you to go to church. And I'm talking about using that exact word where it tells you to go to church. The one, appreciate that donation. All right, Real Remedy. There we go. That's one of the verses that I remember. So now I will wait on the verse that will let me know that I need to go to church. So Real Remedy, like I said, which is why I can respect a lot of 'cause if I'm not mistaken, Real Remedy, you said you was an Israelite. This is where I respect the Israelites. When it comes to the Bible, they got it down pat. They gonna start pulling. When you ask the Israelite for a verse, they got it. Most of them. I'm not gonna say all of them, but most of the ones that I deal with, when you need a Bible verse, they got it. I don't know the Bible verses off the top of my head. I just know stuff that I done seen in it. I don't have the verses memorized. But if you need a Bible verse, like I said, the Israelite gonna come out the gate with a verse. Yeah, Patrick, most definitely. And that's all I ever ask. If you wanna claim a religion, I'm just outside of Christianity because you just shouldn't be claiming that just in 2020 as a black person. I mean, you have white people that letting you know like Christianity is trash. I mean, if you got white people that's out here letting you know Christianity is trash, letting you know that these Western religions are trash, why are you still professing to it? Literally, you have white people that's letting you know Christianity is wicked, is evil. So as a black person, why would you profess to it? Why would you still be holding on to that label? For the life of me, I don't understand that one. For the life of me, I don't understand that one. But again, if you wanna believe in something, cool. Just don't shoot down anything that comes from the outside. Research everything. Read everything. Be open to everything. That doesn't necessarily mean accept everything. I don't accept everything that I read. I don't accept all the information that I take in. But I'm not going to reject it simply because it goes against what I believe. I'm not going to do that. And I don't believe anybody should do that. It's a lot to learn out here. It's a lot to be understood. The world is bigger than your belief system. It's a lot out here to know and understand. Again, you can believe what you want to believe, man, but don't let that kill your desire for knowledge. Don't let that kill your eagerness. Don't let that kill your drive. Don't let that kill your ambition. That don't necessarily, just because you read about something that goes against your religion don't mean you about to be converted to that. So if I'm Muslim and I'm reading something about the Catholics, that don't necessarily mean I'm gonna become a Catholic. That ain't necessarily what that means. So if you have that fear, then you need to question what you believe in. If you have this fear of doing outside knowledge, And the fear is that if I continue to do this outside knowledge, it may convert me to this way of life. Then you're not strong in that belief. You're not confident in that belief. So at the end of the day, like you should be open. That's matter of fact, that's the best way to be. That's what really iron sharpens iron type deal. That's what really sharpens your perception when you start studying life outside of what you believe in. That's how I strengthen my perception in regards to veganism, a plant-based lifestyle. I study opposing views, opposing books, books telling me we should eat meat. I would read those books more so than a book that already agrees with how I'm living. That's what strengthens my perception. That's how I'm able to make a more educated decision when I study everything. When I study every facet of life, every facet of the situation. Oh yeah, D Monty Magic. We already know. Yeah, we already know, man. We already know how education does it. We already know what, and for one, like I said, the educational system, it kills your creativity. It kills the innovative mind. So we already know what goes on there. It kills all of that. It kills all of that. It kills all of that. That's, again, which is why I said I'm not a fan of this system. I'm not a fan of this system at all. But it destroys that creativity. It destroys that innovative mind. It destroys that ambition. It destroys that eagerness. So we got a lot of things working against us in regards to us really unearthing the actual truth, especially in regards to our history, man. There's so much to learn in regards to our story. It's so much to learn in regards to our story that it's like we don't need to be confined to just one religion, man. Our story is deep. Like, you got to study history, man. You got to study archaeology. You got to study these things to really be in tune with our actual story. You got to study science. Like, we are all of that. Like, our history, our story is in all of that. Kid, Red Pill Knowledge, man. I'm from St. Louis. Tavon, I already know. Like I said, I was at the crazy thing and the contradictory thing about it. I was at a Lutheran school. I was at a private school, and at this private school, I was getting discriminated against. And I used to bring that up. I already told y'all that they tried to make me cut my hair at high school. Y'all already know my go-to line, because this was right in the time when we were studying that. I was like, man, the people in the Bible that we read and we studying about, they had long hair. They had hair that looked just like mine. So why y'all striving to make me cut my hair when the people that we studying in this holy book had the same type of hair that I'm having? So what are y'all trying to say? What are y'all trying to say? Jesus in this, he wasn't clean cut. So why do y'all want me to have a clean cut bald head? It ain't making sense to me. And I used to bring that up at that particular school, and they used to get mad. They used to get mad. I can't tell you how, man, they used to get furious when I used to bring that up and say, man, everybody in this Bible, I used to bring that Bible because I used to have to go to the office because my hair was too long. You would bring that Bible and you would say everybody in this book that we reading about had long hair, had decent length hair. I can guarantee you every man in this Bible around this period of time had some hair. They wasn't all clean cut. Yeah, they used to get furious, man. It was crazy. And that was just one way I banged on them and came at them. Y'all already know I hit them with the cliche one, love thy neighbor type deal. You know, I came with a lot of, they used to get mad at me, man, because that's when I really started to look deep into the Bible. Like when I had to study it then, I was like, man, look, y'all going against everything that y'all teaching us in this school. Y'all out here discriminating against brothers with hair, and this is going against everything that's in this particular book that y'all want us to study. The hypocrisy was real, and they couldn't tolerate it. Now, D-Monty Magic, that's deep. That's deep. Oh yeah, Terenzo, you talking about Caesar Borgia? Like yeah. A lot of people say that's the white image of Christ. And we're not even gonna get into that depiction. We're not even gonna get into that depiction. Because this even goes beyond America. You go to parts of Africa and they got that white Jesus in there cracking. And that's crazy. But we already know, because like we said in the previous video, they've been colonized. But that white Jesus, man, I mean, if you gonna fool with the religion, at least make what you worship and look like you. Yeah, D-Monty Magic, and I can probably see why that's a reality too, especially coming from the Catholic Church. Now that's wicked. Like I said, when I went to that Catholic, like that, the history behind the Catholic Church, wicked. I mean, they all kind of interconnected, but when you specifically break it down to the Catholic Church and that history, along with the Christian Church, but the that's wicked. That history is wicked. But like I said, man, at the end of the day, we dealing with a lot of hypocrisy. We dealing with a lot of hypocrisy. We dealing with a lot of pimping pastors. We dealing with a lot of miseducation. We dealing with a lot of miseducation. We dealing with a lot of fabrication. We dealing with a lot of romanticism. We dealing with a lot of basically, I'm gonna teach you what I feel like you should know type deal, not what you actually really should know. All the ones, so you finna get into some of the questions that I have asked that I've never really received an answer to. When I used to start drilling people with questions, they used to say I'm misinterpreting things. I'm like, so if it's all up for interpretation, then there's no right or wrong way to interpret what I'm reading. Again, it's like they say, if 100 people see the same accident, you're gonna get 100 different descriptions of what actually happened, even though they saw the same accident. So when it comes to the Bible, when it comes to the Quran, when it comes to any holy text, how can you tell somebody their interpretation of it is wrong and incorrect? There cannot be one way to interpret it. Like point blank period, especially when it's not really literal, when it's parables, when it's a story meaning to convey a deeper meaning. When it's anything like that, then there is no one description that suits all. Like, no, how I interpret it is right, because this is not something that should be taken literal. So it's a deeper meaning behind it. So the deeper meaning that I extract from it is going to be different from the deeper meaning that you extract from it. So you can't tell me that the way I'm interpreting something is incorrect, especially when it's not to be taken literal, when it's not a universal fact, a universal law. So now when it's open for interpretation, meaning it's a parable, meaning it's something that's figurative, then no, there is no right or wrong way to interpret that. You just disagree with how I view it and how I see it. This ain't something that this happened in history, and we know for a fact that this happened in history, it was documented. No, when it's a parable meant to convey a deeper meaning, then it's open for all perceptions and perspectives. So no one perception is wrong, no one perspective is right. So I don't understand that too. Nick Lewis, I've been going back to Genesis. I've tried to wrap my mind around that for the longest. And I just hit people with a lot of questions. We be so And just hypothetically speaking, because again, there's no way that I can prove anything about creation. I can't prove nothing about creation because I wasn't here. So this is all just opinion and what we believe happened. That's all that this is. I can't prove it. I can't prove what I feel like happened. I can't disprove what somebody else feels like happened. I can't disprove it. But what's to say, and who's to say that the universe just didn't always exist? Who's to say that that's not an actual fact? Tavis Banks, I can see that. Yeah, exactly. All of those denominations. And I like to ask people a lot in regards to what's the difference between most of the denominations, and a lot of people don't know. I used to ask off the rip. I used to say, what's the difference? As a child, because people don't understand that children, a lot of times, man, children, man, they gonna think rationally, they gonna think logically, they gonna question a lot. Children gonna ask questions. We kill that in them though. So as they grow older, they stop asking questions because we kill them. We say, hey, don't you ask these questions. You just gonna believe, you gonna believe in this because I said believe in this. So we shun them from asking questions. But off the rip, I used to ask, what's the difference between a Baptist and a Christian? And I can tell the answers that I got were not too pleasing. They was like, really, it really is no difference, just different name, woo, woo, woo. So I used to ask, what is the difference? Like, why am I calling myself a Baptist? This person calling themselves a Christian, but it seemed like we really believing in the same thing. So I was like, what's the difference? As a child, that's how I'm analyzing it. I'm like, man, they reading the Bible. They talking about the same Jesus we talking about. What's the difference? Why they call themselves a Christian? I'm calling myself a Baptist. I'm confused. And I never got a thorough breakdown on that. And that was back in the day. Self-discipline, and like I said, that's with everything. And like I said, you can take jewels from everything. So don't get me wrong. Like I said, you can take plenty of jewels from that Bible. You can take plenty of jewels from that Quran. You can take plenty of jewels from Hindu texts, from Buddhist texts. You can take a lot of jewels from studying atheists. Like, don't sleep on the atheists. Atheists are not just wicked people. Don't sleep on them. I know a lot of atheists. I know a lot of them. They not wicked. So I don't know where that comes from. They don't lack morals. They don't lack ethics. So a lot of people say without religion, the world would be going crazy. Woo, woo, woo. No, I know a lot of atheists, and they are morally sound people. You don't need a holy book to tell you, for you to be able to determine or decipher right from wrong. And again, that's all subjective at the end of the day. But man, it's some things that, again, you don't need a holy book to tell you that, hey, you might not should do that. Terenzo, most definitely, we know about the plagiarism, most definitely. Yeah, Joe Moms, yep. And I remember back in the day because Genesis is one of the ones that I broke down. It's a lot of things in Genesis that I had a lot of questions about. I almost couldn't get past Genesis because every time I look at something, I'm like, man, I got a question. This ain't making sense. So I had a lot of questions about Genesis. Jamara Peace, what's going on? Nick Lewis, I'm a fan of the ideograms and the hieroglyphs. I plan to be able to strive to decipher them someday, man. But that's the way that we told our story back in the day. Hieroglyphs, the pictures. That's the way that we also were striving to warn future generations by writing on the walls. But a lot of us didn't take heed to the warnings. A lot of us did not take heed to the warnings. That's how our ancestors back then tried to communicate to us and give us warnings, show us the prophecy of what was to come. They wrote a lot of that on the walls. Oh, Tavon, yeah, I've talked about that in regards to astrology. I've talked about that. I've mentioned that as well. Oh, Joe Mons, like I said, they hate it. They hate it when I raised my hand. They hate it when I went to the office, when they was trying to discriminate. Like, you can't justify, listen, you cannot justify discrimination when you clinging to a religion that's telling you to love thy neighbor. You can't justify it. So at that point, I'm like, y'all striving to implement and insert these rules that's clearly discriminating against a certain kind of people, and this is what you trying to teach out of this book. So I'm like, man, at the end of the day, y'all are wrong, and y'all know that y'all wrong. And it's going to eat away at y'all conscience more so than it's going to bother me, because at the end of the day, I'm going to win. I'm going to come out on top regardless. As y'all can see, I didn't have to cut anything. I'm going to come out on top. But you, on the other hand, going to have a problem sleeping at night because of what you're doing, because of the hypocrisy. Oh yeah, Nick Lewis, man. A lot of people, it's a book by Ivan Van Sertima called Blacks in Science. And man, he touched on some things in that book in regards to the way that we used to communicate. By using like sound waves and like the water. I mean, man, we used to be so advanced, just like mentally and physically, that it's crazy. Like the little stuff that we talking about, like these smartphones and all this, we think that this is advanced technology. Nah, some of the stuff that our ancestors was doing, you cannot duplicate to this day. That was advanced technology. Like, nah, these smartphones ain't no. We think that this smartphone, we think that this stuff that we think that the age that we living in is something that, and it's advanced. Nah, it's some stuff that went on back in the day that we cannot fathom doing or repeating. But that's a good book by Ivan Van Sertima, Blacks in Science, man. And that's just one thing that I remember from that book, when he talked about how black people was like the unique ways that we communicated using like water. Man, it was crazy. Using like the ocean and things like that. Man, that was crazy. That's advanced technology to me, because we not doing that today. We not doing that today. If anything, the technology that we have now that's supposed to be advanced and smart is dumbing us down. Oh yeah, the pyramid, yeah, spent like the pyramids, man, just like our way of life. Like, it was some things that we did back in the day, like I said, man, just outside of even the pyramids. But we already know that they can't duplicate the pyramids. But man, it was just like I said, that book though, Blacks in Science, man, was just building, man, just the things that we were doing on a mathematical level. Just on a mathematical level, man, just to let you know how great our minds were. Like that's why I look at people, man, like, man, if they only taught these black children how wise and how intelligent their ancestors were, whole different ball game. But we already know they're not gonna do that, man. But we was doing things that was unheard of. That the European needed instruments or needs instruments to do and measure. We did all of this without instruments, to the point where they questioned it. Man, I've read a lot of books by like white scientists, and they cannot fathom how our ancestors were able to determine things, scientific things, that they had to create instruments to determine and measure. They was like the ancient Egyptians or the doggone. They had this knowledge before we created the instruments and things of that nature. So it's like, man, they can't even fathom. They was like, man, there's no possible way for them to be able to know this without having this instrument, without having this technology. Impossible. Nah, within the word impossible is possible. Yeah, D Monty Magic, I definitely agree with that. Yeah, that sacred geometry, that's a whole nother video. That's a whole nother video. We know how that can go. But yeah, we in the Stone Age. People think that like I said, we advanced. No, sir. We more dumbed down as ever. Like mentally. We more dumbed down as ever. Like we are not nearly as competent mentally as we should be, as our ancestors were way back in the day. Just on a mental level, on a physical level, like we not there. Yeah, D Monty Magic. And the crazy thing is, like, we know what's happening. Them trying to control nature, man, them just being more destructive than they really need to be. And that's causing all these problems that really have easy solutions. But they're not going to teach the easy solutions because there's money to be made in our destruction, in disease, in our death, in our downfall. So we know what's going on there. That's why I say we're not nowhere near as advanced as we think. I mean, look at it. It's 2020, and we still believing that wearing a mask is going to help with a virus. Yeah, I mean, it's 2020. Look at how advanced we are. It's 2020, and we wearing masks, and we think that's the only thing that can be done to protect ourselves from a virus. In 2020, that's what we believe in. So, nah, we ain't advanced at all. In 2020, that's the popular belief, that we need to wear masks. For the life of me, I don't understand that. 2020, and y'all think that the reason why numbers are high in regards to COVID is because people are not wearing masks and social distancing. Really? Yeah, D Monty Magic, and it's crazy. So when we talk about being advanced, that's where I go to it. Look at how we acting in 2020. For us to be advanced, we show acting primitive in 2020. And I'm gonna keep reiterating that year. It's 2020, and look how we walking around or running around acting. It's crazy. We got a long way to go. Like we got a long way to go. And I don't know if we're gonna get there in my lifetime, but we got a long way to go. We got a long way to go. But even what the Bible say, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. So eventually we gonna get back on top. It's just a matter of when. Ataka Zulu, peace, what's going on? Yeah, Nick Lewis, man, I done had that conversation. I done had that conversation with plenty of people. To the point where I don't even have it anymore. If you think the mask is the solution until they come out with a vaccine, which is going to kill you, then so be it. I can't help you. If you about to wear this mask, but then go sit in that drive-thru at McDonald's, then what are you just defeating the whole entire purpose. You defeating the whole entire purpose. So at the end of the day, I just stop having that conversation. It is what it is. People going to do exactly what it is that they want to do. And they think that mask is providing them with protection, and it's really not. It's really not. Oh, Takazulu, you got it. You got it. Elon Smooth, iodized sea salt is cool, but you never really want to overdo it with like salt and sodium. But like iodized sea salt, cool. Yeah, D Monty Magic, we getting advice from obese doctors, from sick doctors, doctors with diabetes. This is where we getting our advice from. And this ain't no knock on them. Like, but at the end of the day, it's almost like a trainer. Like, I don't want to be getting trained by somebody that's out of shape. Period. So I don't want to be taking my health advice from someone who's out of shape, who's not healthy. So, I mean, again, this ain't no slight to obese people. I hope y'all get it together. But what I'm saying is, you wouldn't want to be trained by somebody that looks like you. If you striving to lose weight, you're not about to go to another obese person and say, can you help me? That's not gonna work. So you need to not go to a doctor that's not a clean bill of health and expect for that doctor to save you. Yeah, Himalayan salt is also cool. Yeah, D-Monty Magic, we up there. And some of these other countries are getting close to catching up with us, especially the Asians, because they're becoming westernized. Mike MVP, Kenya. That's crazy, man. Like I said, I've been watching some documentaries on Kenya, so that's crazy that y'all tapping in. I've been watching some documentaries on Kenya lately. Maybe it's a sign. Maybe I need to head out that way or something. Yeah, Takazulu, the mask doing absolutely nothing. The masks are doing absolutely nothing. Oh yeah, Terenzo, you already know we broke down that melanin in a few videos ago. We broke that down, so most definitely. Most definitely. And I also find it funny, and I'm just going back to the church. I find it funny that a lot of them are letting the fear of this virus get to them. I mean, your holy text, you shouldn't be fearing nothing like this with your holy text, bro. Like, honestly, you shouldn't be fearing none of this type of stuff if you subscribe to any of those religions. You shouldn't be fearing this virus. And y'all know why I'm saying that. Y'all know why I'm saying that they shouldn't be in fear of a virus right now. Y'all know what it is, but they shouldn't be in fear of a virus right now. They shouldn't be in fear of it. D-Monty Magic, man, they tearing the air up. They polluting the air and they polluting the inside. They polluting the inside. So they polluting the outside and they polluting what's within. So it's all bad. It's all bad. Oh, Nero, you already know I just put out my book last Friday, Inner Mass. That's on Amazon, but I'm gonna work on another joint. I'm working on my other joint too. So my other book, man, I'm gonna try to have that done and out by 2021, by January. I'm gonna try to have it done then. If not, by then it's gonna definitely be out by the end of January 2021. So I'm putting in the work. I'm striving to get all this information out to my people as fast as possible and as good of quality as I can, as possible. Yeah, Jamar, that's what I told people. I said this on Facebook. I said it was kind of the irony. They encouraged everybody to get out to the polls and vote. Then next thing you know, COVID numbers have increased. And everybody that was at the polls, I'm 100% sure, or 95% sure, that they had on masks. But they encourage everybody to go out to these polls to vote, because your vote counts, vote or die. They encourage everybody to do that. Then all of a sudden, next thing you know, COVID numbers increase. Oh, they got us. How predictable was that? Had everybody at these polls lined up to get the evil boogeyman Donald Trump out of office, and they already knew what was gonna happen, but they made y'all go out to these polls, because if you didn't vote, you would die, and you almost about to die anyway because of the COVID. Self-discipline, the book is called Inner Mask. You just type in Inner Mask, and you can put in by my name, Eric Bill, then you should be able to pull it right up. Oh, Takazulu. Okay, the ancient Zulu pantheon. Yep. The Orisha. I got some people on Facebook on my Facebook friends list that be dealing with that. Oh yeah, the smartphone. The smartphones making us dumb, dumbing us down. We already know. Kid Red Pill, man. I had answered you earlier. St. Louis, though. I'm from St. Louis. D Monty Magic, I can answer that. Most mask wearers, none of them have studied have studied a virus. None of them. I mean, from my experience, none of them that I have come across have read anything about a virus. Matter of fact, no, it may be a few that claim to have read about a virus, but they ain't read about it deeply enough. Jay Willis, appreciate you. Peace. Static saying, man, appreciate it, man. Hope that book can help you out. Hope that book can help you out. The one, Trump was never going anywhere to begin with. And what people don't understand, it's another thing I got to tell black people. Black people celebrated when Joe Biden was selected. We already know how that go. We already know the game behind this. And they start talking about Trump supporters being upset. I'm like, do y'all realize what y'all saying? These Trump supporters ain't upset. These Trump supporters about to still have decent jobs at the end of the day. These Trump supporters still about to have decent money at the end of the day. These Trump supporters still about to be able to live in their nice little neighborhoods at the end of the day and not have to worry about the police killing them. These Trump supporters still about to be able to send their children to the best schools and still be able to pass down a lot of things to their children, a lot of wealth to their children. So these Trump supporters ain't really upset. These Trump supporters ain't really hurt. They still finna benefit from white privilege. So no, these Trump supporters not mad. It don't matter who is in his mate, because the person that they won't be representing them, but they still about to be represented. Static saying, when you go back before the physical existence, I always go back to the atom. ATOM. That's actually my righteous name in the 5% Nation. We got to give ourselves our own name. My name is Universal Atom. So when you go back to before creation, I always go back to the atom. And you know, when that atom cracked and when that atom exploded, everything came out of that atom. So I go back to the atom. And that's just me just studying the science. So I always go back to the atom. That's why I gave myself that name. And then even when you look at it on a biblical sense, you got Adam, you got Eve. I always interpreted that as Adam, ATOM, and evolution. So I looked at that as like Adam and evolution. And then even on a Muslim sense, when you go back to Adam once again, you got Allah, the original man, black man. So any way you break down that Adam, you're going to go back to us. You're going to go back to evolution. You're going to go back to life, manifested. So that's where I trace everything back to. That atom, the ATOM. Thomas, peace, what's going on with you? D Monty Magic, the differences between the 5% and the NOI, you already know. That'll be a good one. I can definitely break that down. And I might need to do that. But I can definitely break that down. I can definitely do that one though. Yep, Tavon, like I said, that white agenda still being pushed. Don't matter who the representative is. So if you think that Trump supporters are out here suffering, you a fool. Yeah, Taka Zulu, people's acting like Joe Biden. Black people acting like Joe Biden is like, I'm a Martin Luther King. Because you know how we view Martin Luther King. I ain't necessarily the biggest Martin Luther King fan, but you know how the average black person views Martin Luther King. That's how they viewing Joe Biden. They was viewing Joe Biden like Martin Luther King became the president. You would think MLK came back resurrected and became president. That's how they started acting. Yeah, D Monty Magic, and a lot of people don't want to hear that, but I will give MLK a little bit more credit because he was about to change his goals. He was about to transition into another perspective, and I feel like that's what ultimately got him killed because he was about to transition. He had meetings with like Elijah Muhammad and all of that type of stuff too, and he was admitting to the way that y'all know what Elijah Muhammad said about the white folks. MLK told him that he was right and exact, and if y'all want to read about that, Elijah Muhammad wrote about that in The Fall of America. In his book, Elijah Muhammad, The Fall of America, he wrote about the meeting that he had with MLK and how MLK admitted that everything that they was teaching was right and how he agreed with it. So this is the type of stuff that essentially got MLK killed. He was about to transition. He was about to shift because he was having a hard time accepting the agenda that they made him preach. They forced Martin Luther King to, not forced him, persuaded, influenced him to kind of teach the message that he taught. He was supposed to be the voice that pacified black folks. That was his role. That was his role. Yeah, Jamar, and that's why I resonate with Malcolm X a lot more. Like I said, man, the people that resonate with me in regards to my ancestors, my elders, that is real revolutionary. None of the people that I looked up to or look up to and study, none of them would advocate dealing with the political system that we have. None of them. So when people tell me that my ancestors died for something, y'all already heard me break that down. I'm like, what ancestors are y'all talking about? Because the ones that I fool with, the Khalid Muhammads and things like that, they wasn't telling me to go out and vote. So I don't know what, like, the ancestors that I fool with, they wasn't telling me to do that. Hey, Joe Moms, that's a good breakdown, good interpretation. Yeah, Nero, Elijah, what's crazy? Elijah Muhammad don't get a lot of credit because a lot of people focus on the messenger and not the message, but I can get it. I can dig it. But basically, the 1 meal a day that you just described, that's basically fast forward to 2020, that's intermittent fasting. So Elijah Muhammad was ahead of his time. That 1 meal a day is essentially what scientists are now calling intermittent fasting. Elijah Muhammad was basically telling you to intermittent fast back in the day. They just didn't have a term for it. Now the scientists, they have come to realize that that is essentially a good practice if you're striving to lose weight. Now they term it intermittent fasting. Elijah Muhammad was telling you to intermittent fast back then. Now they gave you the label and now everybody's swearing by intermittent fasting. Oh, I intermittent fast. I'm like, man, Elijah Muhammad was talking about that. He just called it 1 meal a day. In the intermittent fasting world, they call that 23-1. Fast for 23 hours, eat for 1 hour. That's 1 meal a day in their language. But Elijah Muhammad been talking about that. That's intermittent fasting. So that's what he been talking about, been teaching. That was a long time ago. So that shows you how they do us. That shows you how they do it. They don't want to give us credit for nothing. They want to make it look like they coined the term intermittent fasting. Nah, Elijah Muhammad was teaching that. Man, D Monty Magic. I actually was on Amazon and I saw a book about Khalid Muhammad and I thought I was dreaming. I was like, man, I didn't even know a book on this man existed. So I said, man, this must be a book written by the feds or something, written by an agent, but it had pretty decent reviews, man. So I might order that joint. But to see a book written by, because I was like, man, they need to do a movie on Khalid Muhammad, something. But when I saw that book on Amazon, I said, man, that's crazy. I did not know a book on Khalid Muhammad existed. And it actually had decent reviews. So I'm like, man, I might have to order that. Sweet Tea Peace, what's going on? Oh, D Monty Magic, most definitely. Like I said, intermittent fasting was something, as you said, a lot of us do it anyway. Basically, it's just skipping breakfast. So a lot of us do that anyway. We just don't pay attention to it. Or we just don't give it a name. We know they like to coin terms. Say they invented something, say they discovered something. Like, nah, some of the stuff we've been doing. And some of the stuff we was doing it because we had no choice. So some of our parents and grandparents, they were intermittent fasting because they had no choice. They couldn't afford food. But then they want to come up and they want to call it intermittent fasting like they created it. We created it. It's called intermittent fasting. It was coined by such and such in 1950. Nah, man, we've been doing that. But Khalid Muhammad is my dude. And Stephen Coakley, I don't know if y'all know about Steve Coakley, but that's another dude that went under the radar. He used to drop a lot of bombs and a lot of knowledge in regards to like politics and the government and its system. All of that. Steve Coakley was that dude. So that's another person that goes under the radar that you rarely hear mentioned. Like, I like Steve Coakley, man. That dude used to go in. That dude used to go in regards to politics, man. So I feel like that's another brother that deserves a lot more credit than he get. Like, I don't hear anybody bring up Steve Coakley. Or address it for the future. Or you already know. We gonna keep going. We ain't gonna stop. We ain't gonna stop. Yeah, Nero, most definitely, man. Most definitely. People gonna look at you, and that's why I tell people, when you come across this knowledge, or you come into this knowledge, you coming into it for a reason. You're not coming into this knowledge to keep it to yourself, to keep it for yourself. You coming across this knowledge to share it, to teach it. So that's the reason why you coming across this knowledge. It's happening for a reason. It's a reason why you coming into this knowledge and not someone else. So it's not for you just to hold on to it. Yeah, Static saying Bobby Hemmett, Phil Valentine. Oh man, I used to be Bobby Hemmett hard. I used to listen to Bobby Hemmett every day, all day. One reason, because dude was hilarious. Like, his delivery is hilarious. But Bobby Hemmett, yeah. Oh, Nero, yeah, I'm telling you, that other book is gonna be out soon. Yeah, Takazulu, like I say all the time, our ancestors didn't die, they was murdered. They was assassinated. They were killed. Oh, D Monty Magic, man, hey. Yeah, I didn't have my disputes with y'all know how Black History Month go. We learn about the same black folks in rotation. MLK, Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman, maybe Frederick Douglass. They'll sprinkle Frederick Douglass in there. But it'd be the same old song, as if our history is just that. They leave out so much of our history, man, to the point where, like, I feel like it just be in my blood sometimes to just talk about it. Like, I feel like it be in my blood, man, to just let loose on it, man, because they try to conceal it. They try to marginalize and minimize our history, man, and make it seem like we only got like 20 or 30 years worth of history, worth of significant history. I can't stand that. Yeah, Jamar, and that's why I say sometimes, man, gaining that knowledge can be a lonely road. It can be a lonely journey. As they say, it's lonely at the top. And I'm not even saying we at the top, but it can be lonely when you start getting that information, because just by default, you're going to become isolated. Because most people around you ain't trying to hear that. They not trying to read what you read, and they not trying to research what you researching. So you're gonna be the minority amongst your circle. You're gonna be the minority amongst your circle 9 times out of 10. When you come into certain pieces of information. Yeah, Jamar, yeah. And that's a lot of people, that's when a lot of people have that, that's when you have that split. in regards to people not fooling with like Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam and Farrakhan because of how they feel about what happened to Malcolm and what happened to Khalid. Let's not get it twisted. Let's not get it twisted now. A lot of people talk about the NOI and what happened to Malcolm, but let's not forget Khalid Muhammad too. Khalid Muhammad too now. So it wasn't just Malcolm. It wasn't just Malcolm. Khalid Muhammad suffered kind of the same fate as Malcolm did. But Khalid Muhammad always expressed his love for him, man. But again, he started getting a little too big, and they didn't like that. And he started speaking a little too much truth, and they couldn't tolerate it. So they had to get rid of Khalid. And then Khalid, what he was about to do, the new Black Panther Party and whatnot, then Khalid Muhammad dies mysteriously. Mr. Barbados, man, hey, I already know. My man's on her Zucco. We always talk about the Caribbean, man, and just how hard y'all go and how hard y'all went historically speaking. And Jamar, one of the things that Malcolm was striving to expose was basically the hypocrisy in regards to Elijah. One of the things was Elijah Muhammad in his relationships with women, girls, younger women. That'd be something to look into. That was one thing that Malcolm had a problem with. And basically Elijah Muhammad, to justify it, he basically utilized the Bible to kind of justify his relationship with these younger women. So Malcolm kind of had a problem with that. That's one thing that he had a problem with, and I would start there, and I'm gonna stop there. I don't want to get too deep into that history. Like I said, that's a whole nother video. Nero, hey, the Caribbean, they be representing. Y'all be representing. D Monty Magic, yeah, I like when the Moors had to basically civilize the white folks. I love that part of history. When we had to teach them, when they was out here taking one bath a year, when they barely was taking baths out here, and we had to come in, we had to teach them civilization. I like that. I love that part of history. Rome is a beast. Peace, what's going on with you, my brother? But man, y'all know what it is, man. I didn't chop it up. Got the building, like I said. I'm going for like 7 days straight. We're gonna build on a bunch of things. Y'all know how I get down. So I'm gonna see y'all again tomorrow. I got a client that's about to come in here. So I gotta go ahead and get this gym ready, get this workout ready. Appreciate all the donations, man. I appreciate the interaction and the dialogue. Y'all enjoy the rest of this Wednesday, man. Y'all stay healthy and y'all stay peaceful out here, man. I'm gonna go ahead and get this gym ready, get this session ready. Y'all stay up out here, stay peaceful. And I'm gonna catch y'all tomorrow. It might be in the morning, might be around 2 or 3 o'clock my time, which is Central Time. But y'all stay up out here, man. Peace.